It's springtime. What are some of our special tasks other than calving? You said drying out.
Drying out.
Well,
We hope we have moisture enough that we can dry out.
that's what I was thinking. Like, if anybody's unaware, we're filming this way ahead of time because there's about to be some changes. So this is some of our last episodes in this format. We'll be in the same room here pretty soon. But yeah, you guys have been dry so far this winter. It's filming late December now, but this will come out in April, March, April, whatever, spring, and it could be a dry winter, and we might not have any moisture.
Oh, I hope not. I mean,
And
we
that's
started
because
we
of
did
El Nino, if anybody's asking. It's not
yeah.
drought and all that, but it's the El Nino effect right now. It's very warm winter, which everybody's like, "Oh, Montana's so nice." I'm like, "You guys are just this is an anomaly." Like,
Well, and it's not a good, it feels good for a moment. You would probably maybe you wouldn't remember. 1997 was it was a cold and snow. I mean, we set some record snow that year. And we
uh-huh.
slogged around in overshoes and I mean packs 30 below,
Yeah.
thermal weather. I mean, it was a rough winter. That next year, I heard about this El Nino thing for the first time, and I said, "What's that? What's El Nino?" And it explained to me, "Oh, it's supposed to be dry and warm." I went, "Oh God, I hope our winter is dry and
Yeah.
warm. I could
A
sure
bit
use
reprieve.
that." Yeah, well, be careful what you ask for because
We had a drought for about the next six,
the
8 years after that, if I remember
about
right.
12.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got to be dang careful what you ask for. So and
Well,
it's an El Nino year, and we're seeing it. It's we started feeding the first day we fed this year, or in last winter was December 16th. I'd never started feeding that late, but
yeah,
it was, and we had grass. We had plenty of grass because the year was a good year. The issue is I want those cows to have plenty of protein in their belly, so they're
right.
gestating. They need that protein to make babies.
Yeah. It's not just don't just throw them straw, essentially, is what
Right.
that is. But
Yeah.
to go back to the El Nino effect, that was the same time frame that your grandfather, my great grandfather, told you towards the end of his life that that was worse than his experiences with the Dust Bowl,
The Dust Bowl,
correct?
yes, yeah, correct. He said,
Yeah.
I said, geez, was this like the 30s, Grandpa? And he goes, oh, this is worse. I go, what?
Yeah.
Say again. And he goes, oh yeah, this is worse than the 30s. Everybody talks about the 30s and the Dust Bowl, and it was dry. He said, but we had every couple of years we'd have a good wet year. And he said, we haven't had a wet year. We've had nothing but dry years. He said, this is by far worse than the Dust Bowl days. And so,
Mm.
you're talking, the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. And I mean, that was a huge eye opener. And this is a guy that lived on the land. I mean, he
Yeah.
wasn't just recollecting, what could have been. He lived it. And he said, oh, this is way worse. So that for what it is worth, El Nino, we hope we've had or we'll have a good winter and a spring, get some snow built up. But let's hope we're getting kind of lined out after calving here and drying out literally. And you want those calves to be on some dry ground or at least some green grass. You want it to warm up. I'm good with the rain, believe me. But if that rain comes with some warm temperatures and it's moderate heat and we get some grass growing, then we'll put a smile on our faces.
So other than some snow, maybe some rain, decent warm temperatures, so nobody's freezing out there. What do we normally do during the springtime other than calving and focusing on the babies?
Yeah, focusing on some horse work, getting those horses, getting them started. The yearlings played with a little bit. The 2-year-olds played with a little bit, and then those that are going to be trained and client horses trained where we've got them in and we're working them and been working them hopefully, end of February, first part of March, about the time we start calving, then we can work these horses and be well versed with them by the time we brand, and they're getting a lot of good work, and then doing fencing. You can only work a horse when you're training so many times a day and for so long. You don't want to hurt them. You want to train them, and so that extra time doesn't seem like it's got a lot to do of anything else, but there's always fencing to do. Always got that. Looking at our springs, prepping for the summer pastures, um, cleaning things up from the winter time. Anything that broke or is kind of cobbled together from the winter time to get through to spring, get that stuff back in good working order so it's ready for the next year, not just we'll get through this year or this season really is what it is.
After several years of being on YouTube, if nobody's figured out by now, a going theme is to get through a winter and always prepare for the next season after that.
That's
So that's pretty
true.
much it.
Yeah, that's true. Fix what's broken, hope it don't broke in the future so that you can
Yeah.
make it work. And usually I tend to try to overbuild stuff so that my great grandkids don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, the whole adage of it's not gonna be my problem, I won't be here. It's becoming alive and well thing.
Well, and it has been my problem because it wasn't somebody else's problem in the past, and I'm trying
Exactly.
to do things right. That's just kind of the way I'm wired. I can't help myself. If you're gonna fix this dang thing, let's fix it right.
Well, so somebody's told me before, they're like, listen, I'm one of the laziest people you will ever meet. And it's to that point. I said, okay, I don't see you as a lazy person, but I'll hear your thought. And they're like, I'm lazy because I only want to have to do it one time. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Put in a little bit of extra elbow grease, a couple of days, couple of hours, whatever you
Yeah.
need to get the project done. But then you don't have to look at it for several years after that. Like that's laziness at a pinnacle because it's the right type of laziness.
Well, and usually the limiting factor on that is what's it going to cost to do it? Do I have the
Sure.
cash to do it? Do I have the resources to put into this where we can make that last? And
Or
that's
how difficult the livestock are on it too. That's another
right.
thing.
Yeah, there's normal wear and tear on things, and
Yeah.
you just deal with that and you work around it. Weather things weather and deteriorate. So if you can
Yeah.
also try to beat the weather a little bit as much as you can, you can't completely do it, but you can combat it pretty well.
Yeah. And then to close this episode out, again, we got a couple weeks before we're in the same room, but essentially the other special project we're doing this year is we're gonna try and set up the studio so it's workable because we've been doing this for so long that we're gonna have to have new hookups, we're gonna have to have a new setup, we're gonna have to have a little bit more space and a new adjustment. So that's soon to be seen. But yeah, that's gonna be our project while we're in the middle of trying to cab.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because we were just talking about this last night with your cousin you haven't seen. We had a funeral yesterday, a family member,
Yep.
and got a
Yep.
cousin that we haven't seen since your mom and I's wedding.
Mm.
And great guy, just love him. Really, really a good human. And we're talking about you coming home, and I said, "How's that going to go?" And he said, well, here's the thing. He's been a captain for so long, pointing his finger around so much that he comes home and thinks he can do that. And it's like, no, negative. You are now a buck private again. First of all, you got a 1-star general of being your mother, and I'm at least a 2-star general, but I do take orders from the 1-star.
Yeah. Good
So,
good
but
luck with
this
that.
technical stuff, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get it together. We work well together. Everybody does, but everybody's got their strong suits. I don't know how to do this technology. If it's in place, I can learn to work it, and I'm fine. But to
Yeah.
be able to put it together sometimes is like I'm not sure.
Well, and to go with that special spring project, that's going to be the thing is our stuff is not going to be as good as I want it to. I've had to accept that. I know it's not because it's going to be new things. We're going to have new hookups. And to the point of laziness, I want to work hard to get it done right the first time so we don't have to touch the wires and stuff and I can do an on and off switch and we're set. Like I don't I don't want to be pulling things constantly and redoing it unless it's broken and then we restring it. But other than that, I want it to be easy peasy. Let's get this thing knocked out and we're
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
But,
No, I agree. We want a quality product, and people don't want to listen to junk.
yeah.
Um, our content they may think is junk, but at least they can hear us clearly. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's gonna be spring projects. That's gonna be this year's 2024 special spring project. So with that, we will see you in a couple weeks in a consolidated room. So we'll take that and put it out to pasture.